There we are. Hello, everybody. There we are. So finally, we're online. I hope. Hello, everybody. Here we are. So finally, we're online. I hope. So, are you all there? Yes, there is everyone, finally. Oh God, that took a long time. So we are here with, let me get the chat here. We're here with, oh, you can't find a new stream. I see people cannot find a new stream. Wait a minute, let me give you the new stream. If I can find it now. Yes. Oh, what a mess. Every single time. Sorry, guys. It's always a mess when I'm doing a live show. I hope you guys can see it now. I'm going to share it in the chat. So that can go. So let me see if I can see everybody in the chat right now, because it's a mess. I've been doing everything wrong as usual, and so we need to see how everybody is doing. So you guys all there? Give me a 1 if you all can see us. Well, I hope so. In any case, so let's just start this, and I just hope that everybody can see us. And I think I see people saying that they don't see us, and yet we are on another stream somewhere. So I'm confused myself now. So guys, whoever is still not there, you're going to see us soon. So let me check. Yeah, there they are, everyone. Let me just, hi Grandpa C. I can see you. I see Stephen Dyson. I see Kim. I see Miss Under Sue. I see Trump 45. Hi guys. And now we have to get the rest in here because they are all in another chat, which is a bit weird, but that was my mistake. I don't know what I've done that went wrong. So yeah, patience, and let me again, yeah, follow the link. Are there. So okay, now I don't know, well, this is a different way of streaming that I haven't done before, so somehow things always change. Anyway, we are here with everybody in the chat. I can see now, and I see Laura, I see Princess Palm Beach, I see Kim and Dilly Tree. Hi. Is everybody in there? Where is, I'm missing some people. Anyway, so today we have Katie. And Katie is, there you are. I can see you now. So today we have Katie, and Katie has an experience with the paranormal. And she had a haunted house. And I had sort of the same. And the reason that we are making, I wanted her on because traumas are caused by all these sort of things that we are experiencing. And so it's important to talk about it, because even the shadows need to be uh, you know given the light. And so well, in that case, I invited her, Katie, and she is going to tell her story. So take it off, Katie. Maybe you present yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Katie. Some of you guys know me. Love by the Moon. Hi, Grandpa C. I heard your name. Um, he's so sweet. Anyway, okay, well, I guess I'll start. This house started for my children and myself in 2009. And it lasted all the way to May of 2016. So basically, what happened was it started out, there was a lot of tragedy and trauma, like we discussed,
Mm.
going on at the time. And the first thing, it was July of 2009. My second oldest son had said that he was hearing footsteps, if we were sitting in the living room up above us. And as I, have explained to people before, I just thought he was being a teenager, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I didn't listen until I had my first experience by myself. And nobody was home. The boys were across the street. My youngest daughter was working. My older daughter, she was, out, at her home and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there and had my phone in my hand and I watching TV, laying on the side of the on my side on the couch, I should say. And all of a sudden the faucet turned on in the kitchen. So
Like,
yeah, I hid like this and I started texting like madly. And I mean, the phone almost literally dropped out of my hands because they were sweating
but
so.
that was your first experience?
My first experience. We had so many that it was insane. Moving forward with my daughter, my youngest daughter, who was approximately 15 at the time, she was upstairs one night and she was charging her phone, laying in bed. It's dark, it was bedtime. She had her back to the door in her bedroom, and all of a sudden something went shh in her ear. So she grabbed her phone and came flying down the stairs. Mom, 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 mom. And I'm like, what's going on? And she said, can I stay with you? Can I stay with you? Something just went shh in my ear. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. So I let her do that. And then we just had from there on, um, it jumped into Halloween.
Yeah.
And my youngest son went out with his friends in the neighborhood and they went upstairs and I let them have some of their candy. So they left the wrappers on the floor and you could hear whatever it was walking across the papers.
Wow.
Now,
So
go ahead.
I wanted to I wanted to share actually a clip with you guys, so you have an idea what we are talking about here, what went on in her house. And are you okay with that I share that now?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's just it's the room thingy. And so it's just a little um piece of 2 minutes, is it? And so I'm going to share that. Hang on, here we go. So here you can all see the video. Let me see if I can play that. Here you go. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. I mean, this is so scary.
Annabelle, what are you playing with?
And here you're talking to her.
What are you playing with, Annabelle?
Wow.
You having fun? It's okay. You can play with Ava's toys.
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay. You be nice. You don't throw. Got a cup thrown at me. One of Ava's cups. Okay. Annabelle, that wasn't nice, sweetie. You don't throw things, okay? You don't throw things, Annabelle. No. You gotta be nice. That was bad. Okay. Okay, that was bad. That was...
Right. So, yeah, that was so scary. And have you guys seen that? That was like, that freaks me out. And I have experience with something similar, but not.
Oh, that'll freak them out.
What is that?
That is the introduction to.
Oh, sorry. That was still, the video was still on. I thought it was here. Now I'm starting to get scared.
It was another video.
Oh, sorry, guys. There was a playlist, and there was another video that came after that. And so, yeah. Anyway, I watched that, and it scared me like crazy because, like I said, I had something similar, but not as violent kind of entity. So, tell me about what was that?
Well, basically, I ended up having an investigation group come into my home
Mm-hmm.
because so many bad, it's just got really bad to the point that I'll give some, probably it may be better for you guys if I give you some of the worst of the things.
Yeah.
When they came in the house, ugh, it's hard to talk about, but it's really hard to talk about. But anyway, so it started out, and it seems like, all those typical, corny ghost shows you watch and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. you know, maybe those aren't so corny. Some of them, I think a lot of it's made up, but some of it's true.
Well, to me, this is a whole different level of, because obviously you see things in movies and like that, but this is just so unpredictable. Well, in a movie too, but it's a movie until it happens to you.
Well, absolutely. We had hauntings. And when I say haunting, that means of the people. Us, we were haunted.
Yeah,
There
they
was,
were attacking you.
oh, absolutely. I was physically attacked at one point, and it scratched me. I wasn't even anywhere near anything. I was just sitting on with my back on the outside of the couch. So it wasn't even towards, like, say, the back of this couch. Or, it's not the same couch, but you know what I mean. And I was sitting there talking to my youngest daughter. She was on the love seat, and I felt something, hurt.
Yeah.
Then it started burning. I mean, like it was on fire inside. It was just getting worse. Than, I said, Paige, can you come and look at this? I lifted up my shirt and she's like, oh my God. Oh my God, Mom. And I'm like, what? What? She's like, there's this big, deep scratch on your back. And I'm like, no way. And so then she called, my middle child, and he came downstairs. He looked at it and said, yeah, you do. She took a picture. She showed me. I mean, my heart just started beating like really bad. And I called the investigators. And that's when it,
Was that one of the first experiences, or was that later on after you already had, you
I,
know?
I was already having experiences. One of the earlier experiences were we were laying in bed, and my daughter, she was sleeping, because my daughter slept with me from the time that she was basically just 2 years, 2.5 years. Okay.
Mhm.
She wouldn't go back to her room after that. If she went to get something, she had to have somebody with her, and it was during the daytime. So,
Imagine.
oh yeah, well, there was this shadow figure, which if people look at the other videos, they'll see the shadow in different evidence that they caught. There was another thing of evidence. Unfortunately, it didn't make it on there, but the language was pretty foul anyway that this thing used. And so this shadow thing, you could see like partial of a head and a shoulder and an arm, but the arm was reaching on the inside of my door. So it was holding on to the inside of the door. Something sat at the end of the bed. I mean, then, the covers were pulled. It was just crazy. I was almost killing my daughter,
Really? I mean, like literally attacking you? And was it like one entity, or were there more?
We had many. We had many, unfortunately, but there was one that he never was. And what I mean by that is he was never a living thing. Whatever. It felt like a male dominant
Do you
thing.
mean like interdimensional, or,
This
because
was a demon. It
a
was a
deep,
demon. We had a demon in our house. I showed you, I emailed you a picture of the demon.
yeah,
He did a sketch of it. He didn't show my daughter was sitting next to me, but he didn't reveal that to her. He revealed it to me, and I was taken back because there were situations like my daughter passed in 2012, the very oldest.
yeah.
And so, there was a lot of emotions going on at the time.
Well, can imagine.
And so one night when we were sitting there, there was something that the puppy was little. She was a puppy. And I had an oversized sofa and love seat. She was laying on there, and it's like something shoved her off from behind, and this little puppy fell on the hardwood floor. And
Oh,
of course, yeah, because she was sleeping right in the middle of it. She wasn't at the edge. And we saw this poor puppy fly. My other dog's freaking out. The kids had made a pallet because earlier in that evening, my youngest daughter's boyfriend was going to go to leave the house, and all of a sudden there was this horrid growl, and I heard it through my headset sitting on the couch. I mean, it was loud. And
so somebody in the chat, sorry to interrupt, but somebody in the chat is asking when it all started.
it was July of 2009 when it all started, and then it progressed at about 2000, and I want to say 11, but it got really bad from 2013 on. So that's when there was situations of another instance was where, oh, you didn't want to go by the basement. You just felt it, and you just like got out of the kitchen or wherever it put itself. Remember one time it hid underneath one of the oh my God, I can't think because it makes you so nervous talking about it.
I
One
know.
tables, there's just this black thing hanging underneath there. And we're like, oh my gosh, it started getting brazen. And
Like a shadow.
yeah, it was black. It was dense. You couldn't see through it. And there was a situation where my son was laying in his room, and this like hand with claws on it came out of this big black cloud and reached for him, like was trying to get him.
But
Um,
was it a physical thing?
it was very physical. It interacted. They talked. It's like I had a desk at my grandmother's. It was more like a vanity, but it had drawers that would rifle around like during the day. That was, there are pictures in the book that we are in. Um, that he actually did sketches. Oh my gosh, this guy is
So,
incredible.
Princess Palm Beach. Hi, girl. She's asking, did you move in 2009, or did you already live there for longer?
No, I that was my childhood home, so I moved back there, and I was purchasing it for my mother. So I had been back in that house since it was 2001 is
Oh.
when I actually moved in there.
So
And
it only started from 2009. So, I mean, you like from one day at the other?
well, that was the thing. I was trying to piece it together. Now there was a tragedy with my youngest daughter. And at the same time, in June of 2009, that's when um, I had my husband removed from the house, my ex-husband.
But wait, so in 2009 it started,
Mm.
and it was multiple entities. And so, how, I mean, do you think they came for you personally? Because obviously they were not in the house already uh, before that, apparently. So they were attached to you,
Yeah,
or
well, actually, it started before that. When I started opening up to my mother, excuse me, I got something in my eye. When I started opening up to my mother about what was going on and transpiring in the home
Mm,
for the kids and I, you know, we would talk about it. Of course, you feel helpless. You want to protect your kids. Here you are, the single mom. You're trying to work. You're trying to protect your children, and
mhm.
and you can't when you can't touch it. So during a conversation after how many months of us, talking about this, she said, I wanted to let you know something. And I don't know why she didn't tell me this earlier. Would have been nice to know. But when she was a baby,
Mhm.
there was a black mass that was hovering over her bassinet. It scared my grandmother to death. So she went, all of my grandparents are immigrants. They immigrated to America.
Yeah.
So that's kind of beautiful. And so she went and got my mother's grandmother, and she ran to her because she knew that she was a devout, Christian and about devout Catholic. She came, she saw the mass, she said, put a rosary over there and it'll eventually go away. And in a
Mhm.
couple months it did. And I'm like, well, wait, how is it we have a black mass in the house, but there was a black mass to do with her when she was an infant? Did it attach itself to her and then she bring it to the house, and when she left and all this tragedy happened, it like fed off? That's what my feeling is. It
But
was
this is your daughter, right? When,
no, well,
when she was a baby, you mean? I mean,
my
oh, your
mother.
mother. Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
did you get any answer as to from these people that did the investigations whether the reason why they were in your house?
Well, basically they said in that there's a portion in one of the bedrooms where
Yeah,
there I have you would call them cubby attics. I had a bungalow. Anybody that knows what a bungalow is,
yeah.
either side of the attic, you have cubby space. And in that, it was kept shut because it would come open. But he felt there was a portal. And this is where this thing got in, where they all came in. So
So do
he
you, sorry, do you think that because there was the portal, it's always been there, but that somehow in some way it has been triggered by something, I don't know, an event?
absolutely, I believe it was the trauma of my youngest daughter going through her traumatic experience. My ex-husband wasn't the greatest guy in the world. Somehow I believe that part of his energy broke off. He's just still not a nice guy. And I think it was a collective amount of things, but what it fed off. So it allowed these people that once were to come into our home, but that demon in, because it was feeding off of, you think about it, my daughter had trauma.
Mhm.
So we got things moving in the house after that. There's your poltergeist. It's coming after her. Then it comes after me. And then, we go forward to him and his issues. So there's like evil, but it feeds off so much negativity. My daughter passes away, the very oldest, and it
Mm.
was a very brutal, tragic, violent passing.
Do you, because when so in 2009 that started, when was your daughter murdered?
She was murdered January 2012.
Okay, so that was like two years later.
Yeah, yeah. So there was a lot of high emotions, a lot of depression, sadness, anger, negativity, just negativity.
Do you
And
do you think that that negative, because you said it went worse in 2013, do you think that was triggered also by these emotions that you had?
absolutely, that's what the investigator and some of his crew had explained to us. And they told us to, stay in positivity. I mean,
Yeah.
I was getting mad at certain points where I actually started yelling at it, and he said, "Don't do that."
Why?
He said, "You're feeding it, your anger.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's just
sure.
you even worse." Now they did it to make it come out through the other videos in my playlist. They
Yeah.
instigated it so they could get it frustrated. So they would, people would show themselves or whatever. I think probably the worst two experiences for me out of the whole situation would be the fact that when they were investigating one of the first investigations, the gentleman was sitting on my daughter's bed upstairs, and he had went down underneath to look underneath the bed, and they had caught evidence of a male voice saying, "Protect the girl."
And what did that mean exactly?
I think for some reason this entity felt that my daughter needed to be protected.
So are you saying that she that this was a positive entity?
Yes, and there was a little boy, you know, there I kind of got really I told you I was getting to the point where I was frustrated. Um and I'll tell you that second one that scared me before I go into that
Hmm.
was the son had come home. He was away at school for a while, and he said this thing was crouching and sitting at the end of my bed. He said his eyes were glowing red. It almost looked like a gargoyle, but not. And he said it was like it was threatening him. So it wasn't just us, it was the animals picking up on things too. But
Well,
um
yeah, animals are very sensitive. I know that because, like I experienced. However, when these people came in the house for, the research, I mean, could they get anything out of that? Like, because it seems like they were like multidimensional, but also maybe ghosts that were stuck in the in between, and like
yeah,
everything together, like literally a portal, because there were so many of them.
there was, and it was also residual. But that's basically what they said. There was um one of the investigators was really cool. He actually traveled the world, and he was more of the researcher
Uh-huh.
property. He went all the way back to the 1500s, and he had all these oils from all over the world that were blessed by priests.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really neat. And he had the means to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people sometimes get an ego, and the person who started the group wanted to do the cleansing of the house.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened because I never saw that one gentleman, and he was very thorough. So he explained to us the residual that we were hearing of the throwing of things in the basement, but nothing was, out of place, was due to the fact that these people were still working. They didn't know it was because in my area there was a lot of lime and marsh too. It was marsh.
What is that?
Way back. Like marshland is like it's all wet and you just can't build anything, or
Right.
like Louisiana. So
Do you
oh,
think that maybe was your house, that house, built on something, like something that had, a past, maybe?
yes, he did say, okay, first the soldiers would explain that there was once war on
Mm.
that property. The other one would explain that there was slavery that went all the way from, oh geez, it went all the way from like Detroit all the way up into the UP in Michigan.
Hmm.
And we happened to be near the route, he said, that they took for logging, slavery. I did find some homes, and they do have tunnels. One was leading to a church. It was underneath the whole road that everybody drives, across in the city I used to live in. And I was like, wow. And then isn't that funny how that plays into the now? The tunnels.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, because obviously, I mean, that is as old as Rome, right? Even, I mean, maybe in the old times they didn't even hide it badly. But as you know, in Paris, they have these underground tunnels with skulls that are hundreds of years old. So obviously these sacrifices were done like for centuries. So I don't know about where you lived, or maybe that even when a house is built on a grave, a former grave, you can get these sort of experiences. So did you get any clarity about that?
Yes, and that's what the one gentleman, Vince, that was really wonderful, that traveled the world, explained to my middle son and I, was that, you know, you had all these things going on: war, slavery, pain, you
Oh
know, so
yeah.
the people were residual. They were doing what they were doing when they were alive. Then you had the other people who were coming through that he said were attracted. He said, "You and your daughter are opens." I'm like, "What are you talking about, an open?" He said, "You're an empath. You're open. They're,
Yes.
they see your light inside of you."
But do you have an idea that they try to contact you also for help, maybe? Because I met somebody online as well, and he wrote a book. And once they found out that he was able to be in touch with all these ghosts, then all of a sudden they started literally he could see them as well. And he said they started literally lining up in front of, like, coming in his house to have him help them cross, wherever that is. And so once he started doing that, it didn't stop. He just didn't have any peace, day, night. And I know from experience from somebody else as well, that at a certain point you need to literally tell them, you know uh, it's my free will to either help or not. And usually they do, as for universal free will, they do listen to that. Although in your case you also deal with demons, and well, that's a whole different ball game.
Oh, yeah, that was. Well, he said, it's your choice. You can choose to stay open and be inviting, or you can shut it down.
Yeah.
Because I had kids, and, you know, I'm trying to raise my kids. I tried to shut myself down emotionally so that I did not let these things in. And that was really hard to do during a really rough period.
Well,
I kept on saying, we got to be positive, we got to be positive. Because
yeah.
the first blessing didn't even work. It faked us out, and it was a demon that faked us out.
So how about like a priest or something that does exorcism, because that seemed to be sometimes working as well, or sage, but usually those are temporary. But priests, they tend to get rid of it, but that can be like literally a battle where they're gonna fight back, like, you know.
They, yeah, definitely. And they had discussed that at one point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it didn't work. I mean, they got it. I mean, they got it on audio, video when they were doing the cleansing. This thing just literally let my dogs in the back door. I mean, there's no way you could have done it. It had a clasp at the top so that because the dogs kept on pushing the door open with their nose, the back door, and it
Yeah.
was irritating. So I put a clasp on there, and it was just, we were all just besides ourselves. So I did my best. And I talked to one of the other investigators. He was really awesome. He was always there for me.
Mm.
So if something would happen, he would just kind of have me, breathe and just calm down. Being mad one time, I got in an argument with somebody on the phone, and they were just ridiculous. But I could see a white apparition of a woman coming out of my bedroom.
Yeah.
Nothing threatening, because you weren't threatened by those ones. You just got used to it. I know it sounds weird,
Because
but
you also feel when the entity is a good one. Because well, my sister-in-law, she literally sees them sitting, and for by now it's normal. But and now her son, who is, well, what is he, 13? Yeah, he the same. And they're like, did you see her? Yeah, she was there. And so they're Indonesian, in Indonesia, and I'm partially Indonesian, so there it's quite normal. We know about this thing because death and life are so close together, and therefore you take these things seriously. Plus you have the black magic and voodoo there. They really work with that stuff. So I'm very familiar with that. Although in your case, you had literally every type of entity, that you can imagine. I mean, how do you deal with that, and for how long did that go on?
From June of or July of 2009 until May 2016 when we moved out. I mean,
So
when I walked into my current home, it was so light. It felt so good. And I was like, oh, yes. Because, I really didn't financially, people ask the same question. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't watch any ghost shows anymore. I stopped all that. I don't want anything to do with it. I mean, I still feel bad about scaring that one female apparition because I yelled, told her not now when she went back into my bedroom. But I felt bad because, see, some of them are just inquisitive. Some of them want to feel that life force that they
yeah.
used to have. They're lost and they're confused.
Are
Or
they like in search of, I don't know, the light, and wanting to go back wherever they want to be, or are they just stuck in a way that they can get back for some reason?
yeah, it's for whatever they were living in life at the time. If they were angry and they did because they died and they were an angry person in general, they don't want to leave. Then
Yeah,
there's the others that are afraid to
yeah,
depart. They don't know where to go. This is my understanding from what I had learned from them.
yeah.
They did a great job at teaching me things, certain
Mm,
ones of them. So I believe we did, and I did tell them, eventually whoever wants to
mm,
go go to the light,
yeah.
be with Jesus. He's waiting for you. Your family is waiting for you.
So even if you, I
So
mean,
I believe some of them left.
you still there?
Yeah, I it glitched for a second. Go ahead, ask
Oh,
that again.
okay. No, I was wondering, like, because they came from one moment at the other. So it can be also that this portal in particular was activated due to whatever reason, and so in your case, it's more like it was, I mean, it was not specifically after you. It's just that probably the portal was somehow triggered, uh, because you have what, 5 children, right?
I raised 8 children and I have 5 of my own.
So did they all get attacked in the same way, or were there people like you or whatever that were attacked particularly, you know
It really
worse?
seemed to be me and the youngest daughter, because of course the oldest daughter was married and out on her own at the time. I had my stepsons come in and out at times that they needed help during the course of those years. Um, but and you could hear it through electronic devices. And that was like fantastic when somebody finally heard it,
Mm,
through my phone one night. Oh my gosh, this is my biggest relief because you think you're going insane. But I just really I think it wanted to tear me down because at that point, I was injured in July of 2011. I was living in severe pain from my cervical, thoracic, and lumbar injury, just my whole spine. Okay.
mm,
And I think I was at a weak point between that and the passing of my daughter and having to go through all the court and the trial and everything. It was in sentencing, it was a lot. It was a lot for any one person. So I sat at night and I cried. I didn't want my kids to see that. You know, I needed to be strong for them. So I think it was really just, she's an easy one to get,
Yeah.
meaning me. And if I take her down, then I can have the rest of them. Because children, especially adolescents, are so open.
Yeah.
You know, they're just so innocent. And I think that the others crave their life force, their beauty, you know, of their souls. And that would be attractive, I suppose, if you were lost, you
Yeah.
know. But
So
that evil thing, I don't know.
so did the evil go on for
I,
all these years until you moved?
well, you know, the thing of this is the kids, I did had a second blessing done when I moved, since the first one really didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it was kind of my responsibility to the new homeowners.
Yeah.
That's no way to leave anybody. So we,
Was it, by the way, sorry, was it like a house that you bought that you need to sell? Because, I mean, who
I
wants
had
to?
to sell it before I could move here. I'm sorry.
So I mean, you had to sell the house. So what you're going to tell them that it's full with entities? Because even if you clean it up, it doesn't mean that they're gone, right?
Well, yeah, not necessarily, but I was doing it. Well, you know, they were there. But in my state, we didn't have to give that disclosure. But because I am who I am as a
Mhm.
human being, I felt a responsibility to do this for these people
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I
Well,
just the day after day, there was just no breaks for how many years, you know, and it's like
uh,
exhausting.
how do you even sleep in a house like that for so many years when you know that any moment something can happen?
Not well. Not,
Sorry, are you
I, not well. You know, kind of glitchy. Can you see me now?
yeah, you fell away for a bit.
Okay. Um, I had talked to my primary physician. Of course, you know, their answer is that, you know, he threw me on Zoloft because I was just stressed to the max. I couldn't sleep very well at all. You know, it was hard. I was scared. I was scared if it could touch me like that,
Yeah.
what would it do to my kids?
So was that the worst that they done to you when you, when the scratch that you had, was that the worst that happened?
I think the worst was really the psychological. Psychologically, it traumatized all of us. And we had witnesses. It didn't care. If somebody was over, they witnessed things. Visitors did. You know, the children's friends. You know,
Did
some of
they?
them just wouldn't come in the house anymore.
So did they attack visitors?
No, but they did mess with them. I had one of my son's friends needed a place to stay, and I had that little room, a spare room, that was free for a while, and upstairs next to the big room where my daughter was. And he stayed in there, and it would like shut the door and lock it on him so he couldn't get in the bedroom. Thank God there was like a sliding accordion door between the two bedrooms. So he would have to go through my daughter's bedroom to get in there. Sometimes he'd lock it and then it would be wide open. When my stepson would, you know, stay there a couple of times, it would pull the covers off of them. I mean, there's just so many things to tell you. I put it this way, it would make the best horror movie for other people to watch, but we lived it. And it was so,
Did you ever had the moment that you thought, well, they're gonna kill me, or they have the intention to kill me?
that's what I thought about me, especially when it's sitting at the end of your bed crouched. I mean, I went out and I didn't know what else to do other than my mother and I went to a store. We bought a bunch of rosaries, and there was one in every single room of the house.
Yes.
My youngest son actually took a Bible that he had, and I had a jar of holy water. My parents used to give communion. I was raised Catholic, so he took that out of the cupboard and he placed it on the headboard of my bed because
So,
they became worried about me.
well, I would. I mean, but did you try sage?
They did the sage, they did the olive oil, they did the salt, they did the prayers from the Bible. Yeah, no, I don't think they had that kind of rigorous spirit and strength that it took to get rid of it. Nothing
Well, but
against.
because some of them were like really, really powerful. And like we just saw in the clip, if you can throw over something like that, and you can feel the violence behind it, and or rather the anger, So
Anger.
yeah,
It's like
because that was a child, right? That was in that room that we just saw.
yes, yes. And then you figure in the one video that they don't have up there that I have a CD of as well. I mean, they were calling him a D, if you know what I mean. The one of the investigators, a Richard. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was just got so even verbally, you know, toxic, and it was just didn't even care at that point, and I was like, when something doesn't care, when something obviously is looking at you like I want to make everything miserable. Yeah, you just think one night this thing's just gonna like try and off me, and
Wow.
there's nothing I can do about it. And so when the opportunity finally came up, then the last thing was to sell the house, and then of course we had to hurry up and find a place to live, but just to get out of there. It
So
even
what made you not leave earlier? Because how does one, live for years and years in such a situation? Plus, you have the children and the traumas coming with that, and I mean, I wouldn't stay there for 1 minute longer.
I was stuck. We had nowhere to go. I was a single mom. I was paying a mortgage, homeowners, property taxes, feeding kids, paying everything by myself. My mother was in a one-bedroom apartment. She couldn't take us in. My sister that, was here, two of my siblings are in different states, so that was a no-no. I
So,
just didn't have anywhere to go.
don't you have like in your well, I live in Holland, but don't you have like authorities or whatever that can help you and get you out of there? Although I had sort of the same, but not that violent in my case. But I will tell that soon. Just want her to finish this story, obviously. So eventually you came to the point where you could sell the house and leave. I mean, I only can, well, I know that the moment that you leave and you're in your new house, I mean, that must have been like so much weight coming off you.
Oh, it was. I mean, honestly, we did not take that vanity of my grandmother's,
Yeah.
threw it at the curb. I
That's
didn't,
another thing because they do attach themselves to objects as well.
we threw out so much because when my mother moved, she never took her stuff that she accrued
Mm.
all those years. So there was 40 some years worth of her stuff, and me, I'm kind of like, if you don't need it, you don't have it, type of person. I
Yeah.
don't I don't like clutter. So, but we just started throwing things at the curb. I was Craiglisting things, giving stuff away for free. I got rid of my living room furniture before I left. I purchased brand new living room furniture, bedroom furniture. I wanted nothing to do with nothing. I just wanted out.
And like because obviously you have the divorce, then you lose your daughter, and then all this on top of it, and your health. I mean, how many years in total was it? Wait, 2009 till 16, it's 7 years. I mean, after you get out of that, it's like, I mean, all the healing that needs to be done, all the trauma that you have, coming out of that. Uh, how did you deal with that?
Well, one, it was kind of sad because my daughter was, an early bloomer, and thank God I did. She was just a smart girl, the youngest. So she would have graduated at 16. I held her back, per the teacher's suggestion. So she graduated at 17. She had been in a relationship with the same guy for a few years. So she moved out with him. And, I kind of felt like she just wanted to be out of hell. Not us, because us, we are so close, but it felt fantastic. I'm just telling you, it was amazing. We came in, the two of my boys and myself, into this house. The others were out on their own, and there was nothing but happiness and joy.
Quiet.
Oh, it was so quiet. And, you know, I was just like, and I would have some of the kids say, "Well, what if it follows you?" I said, "I don't feel that anymore. I feel
No.
free." Like, it's just this freedom.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And it just felt so amazing in here, light and bright, and just,
Yeah.
mm, it was.
I experienced that like firsthand after I had that in my house, obviously, and I had an energetic healer coming, and she cleared my house, and on the spot, I saw the light in my house change like completely. It was like all of a sudden more light could come in, like literally physical light. Light is not physical, but like somebody built two extra windows, right, like that. It was, I was stunned to see that, because you know and like you, only when you leave and you're in a new house is when you realize like the horror that you went through, because when you live in it, it's somehow you become so strong, so resilient,
You do. You do.
because
And most feel
it's survival, you know
that's where you felt you were at survival for your emotional well-being, and your mental well-being. But I mean, it just, there was so much oppression, suppression. Every time we left the house itself, when we were living in it, we felt fantastic.
Oh,
I
so
mean,
you didn't have, when you left the house, like for groceries, whatever, you had no problem whatsoever.
no, no,
Uh,
we all felt wonderful. We were our happy, joyous selves, and I mean, we're a family that, we are very ridiculous. We're very silly, very funny. We are ridiculous. So, my kids and I were very close because of everything we went through. I
yeah,
mean, we would actually in sync, a song would come on or something, and we're sitting there moving in sync to the music, and it was weird. That's how closely connected we were. And we just laugh. And even now, my home is just, there's just so much love that we've always had. And I'm in crazy, and I know I told you this, but
yeah,
I have been crazy in love with my children every single one of them. And so when we get together, everybody just loves our family,
Yeah.
and it's incredible to say because we pick on each other with, like humor, sarcastic wit.
Yeah.
So we don't have those arguments that a lot of other families do.
Did you
It's
have
good.
actually, sorry, did you have when you were in that house, yeah, with these ghosts and all that, did you experience that even amongst you, you started fighting and you were influenced like towards each other emotionally?
Yeah, my oldest daughter and my oldest son um became just toxic when they were around each other in the house. And he, in general, became toxic
Mm,
because when she had her tragic moment, he went into a spiraling depression, which did not help.
yeah.
So, on top of dealing with all of everything that was going on, he has been a diabetic since he was a baby, before he was even 2.
Mm,
And he got depressed. It really just affected him what happened to his baby sister. And so he stopped taking care of his diabetes. So he was in and out of the hospital all the time.
uh,
DKA, it's diabetic ketoacidosis. High blood sugars. It's
yeah, but
basic.
because I mean, the stress itself obviously lowers the immune system, and therefore, it's like a vicious circle because as soon as you have the stress, lower immune system, then you get diseases, and then on top of that, it attracts even more of these entities because it's a vicious circle, literally. And how do you get out of that? Like on your own, you can't.
It was really hard. I was in anxiety health. It was high, constant, panicky.
Yeah,
I went to bed late. I got up very early because you're on a heightened, sense all the time. I I started I was really becoming worried for my health, and that's when I had approached my doctor, and I wanted to lose weight, and I did it on my own. I lost 130 pounds. So, because I was worried, I was like, I'm young, but,
yeah.
and I didn't want it to get to that. And my daughter was always constantly having sore throats,
Yeah.
constantly having stomach aches, which, with childhood trauma, stomach aches are very common.
Well, and also, I wouldn't be surprised that they have PTSD, taken from this experience as well.
Yeah, I do. I was diagnosed. There was a lot that happened, obviously, with the injury, how I was treated, um, everything, the loss of my daughter alone, and then going through this every day of our lives.
Mm.
I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, and you have to learn how to harness that later. You grow.
You do. Well,
Grow.
we both we are the same age. Well, you're 51, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, we experienced it around the same time, the same things. Well, I don't have children, so obviously that is something that, yeah, in that way I cannot relate to. But um, for me, it was a different experience because I didn't have. They were not attacking me in the sense that so maybe I should just tell the story. So what happened was in 2005, I was rid of my, I have agoraphobia. So I was rid of the phobia. And so I was really happy. Everything went well because before that, I was always bound to the house within my four walls with my two cats, and I wouldn't go out at all. And then one time, I said to a friend, I need to get in a train again because this is not. I cannot continue like this. And so she said, well, you can do it. I'm going to bring you to the station and just do it, do it, do it. And I said, well, I don't know. And I was so scared because, uh, I hadn't been in a train for like years. And so then she finally got me over that point. And so I said, okay, let's do it. But then as soon as I was there in front of the train, I thought to myself, well, I don't want to go because what if something happens with the train and then I'm stuck inside and I want to get out and then I want to go home, but I can't because, you're traveling. And so, and then she said, nah, that won't happen. And I said, what if, I don't know, somebody jumps in front of the train and then I'm stuck too. And so eventually she got me to the point where I went. And I haven't been in a train at that moment for, I think, at least 4 years. And so I went in that train. I was really, really scared. And I thought, I just need to, conquer this thing. And so 15 minutes in the train ride, in the middle of nowhere, I was in the front of the train. Somebody went under the train, jumped, and that got us stuck for 1.5 hours in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, that was for me a trauma in itself, which then resulted in eventually a travel of 4 hours. I'm in the Netherlands. In 4 hours, I'm in Germany, but yeah, so that happened. And then I waited for a long, long time before I did something again. And then something happened in, when was it? To Christmas 2004 to 2005. Something happened where I had a panic attack and somehow I was out of my body and I was looking at myself, and that was the strangest thing. And I calmed down completely, and uh, I was literally observing myself having anxiety, but at the same time, because I just distant out of my body, I calmed down. So I did that train ride, and from there I went on and on, and I was, from that moment, the phobia was gone, right? So then 8 months later, I finally find this house, and I thought, you know what? I'm not happy in this city. Let's just move. And so I wanted to go to Amsterdam. And so I did a house swap with somebody else. And so, and really, I'm very intuitive. I could have known. I walk in this house and it was like a wall of energy coming onto me, and I completely ignored it. And so I came, eventually we went on with it. So she went to my house, which was in another city in the east of Holland, and I came in her house. But because I was so eager to live in Amsterdam because my family is here and all that, so I moved in the house. Within a month, actually within 3 days, I lost my cat in the middle of the night. She died in my arms. The next day, because I had welfare, because I still had to find a job, and I was requesting the welfare, and they denied it because for some reason they accused me of subletting my house, which is fraud. And I could prove easily that that was not the case. So that happened, and then another 2 days later, I was beaten to pulp by somebody.
Oh my God.
And I was almost stabbed to death. And so within a month, I was like without income. I lost my cat that I lived with for 7 years, and and that was everything I had. And so I still had the other cat. I went. I couldn't eat because I had no money. I had no contact with my family, so I also ate from the garbage, and that was for 6 months. And then I went in a really deep depression. I had lots of people taking advantage of the situation, uh, coming to my house and then just overstayed their welcome, whatever, and kind of almost overtook my place. Like I was nowhere. And so by Christmas, I was taken in a crisis center because I just wanted to die. And so I was on suicide watch. However, in the same period, um, what happened was that I would put the lights out, I would go to bed, and then all of a sudden, all the lights would go on. And, and I was like, but the strange thing is that always as a child, I thought if that ever happened to me, like what happened in your house, I would like completely freak out. But the weird thing is, I didn't at all. I just immediately went into, okay, my ancestors are here because, from the Indonesian side, and they will help me, and I trust that they are there. So, but then I had one night, I was laying in bed, and I had this thingy where my cat was in, when I took her to the vet when she died, and I had it like flat on a closet, and I'm in bed, and out of nothing, this thing just flies through my room. And I was like, the first thing I said was, "Hi, India," because my cat's name was India, and she died. And for some reason, I just felt that it was her. And so then I went on, but the strangest thing happened. I was sitting in the middle of the night on the couch, and then all of a sudden, I told you this story. In that time, I was researching a lot as well, and um, well, actually not yet, but then I was sitting on the couch reading, and then all of a sudden, I hear somebody in my kitchen cooking, being busy, like you have a visitor in your house. And I was like, my cats were asleep. They immediately woke up. It was like 3 o'clock at night. And then my cat immediately went to the kitchen. So I go around the corner to check what she's doing. And she just sat right in front of the door of the kitchen. She didn't enter. Now that all that stuff went on, and so I got into depression. I needed to find money. I became addicted. I fell back in the phobia, like really badly. So all my trust was gone for all the fight that I've done, because before that I spent years and years fighting to get better, only to then, get in a house that. So then I lost many friends in that house, because somehow, for some strange reason, everybody turned aggressive in that house. So they were badly influenced by something, like literally going ballistic. That's how I got beaten up in my own house, actually, by my boyfriend. So which I then obviously broke up with. So then I was like, I don't know what's going on. So then later, much later, I found out that it was a couple in that house, and they would used to fight constantly, and they used me as their pawn between them. So I was sort of their, I don't know, their, what do you call that? Their support in a way. And so everybody that came in my life were chased away by them, so what happened, that psychologically they would completely go nuts. And then when as for the anxiety and agoraphobia, it became worse and worse. It was almost like I had to put so much effort in just going to the grocery stores. It was almost like they kept me in the house constantly. So then eventually this happened in 2005 till 2010. Eventually, I got my welfare and all that, because obviously I couldn't work, because I was really far gone, was completely addicted to benzodiazepine, because I was just permanently numb. And so then I got this cleansing, like I told you, like everything lighted up. And then she did a healing on me, and it was like, I cried for 3 days straight. I've never felt like that before. And then I eventually had that I was going to, get better through this energy healing. And so then what happened, I started painting. And then for the next 8 months, I didn't see a human being. I was just happy painting, right? And then I thought, you know what, I'm quite happy. I accept that it is what it is. I'm not even going to try get rid of it anymore. And now I just want to get rid of these medication addiction. And so that's when I went to rehab for 6 months in Scotland, in the middle of nowhere, got rid of that. But then I got also, well, it was rather strange, because I never expected to find myself in a clinic, because I happened to forgot that I wasn't amongst people for years. So all of a sudden you're thrown into rehab. I just thought, let's get rid of those pills, but you're around 70 people all in detox, you
Oh,
know, and
oh,
and
a lot.
and that was hell. That was total hell, because for me, I forgot about the social aspect. Well, social, I mean, everybody's frustrating, so they're picking on you. So I found myself thrown back in the time where I went to school and was bullied. However, I came out very well. And after that, I started reading, because that's another thing I've never done before, because I couldn't concentrate. And so ever since, anything that I get my hands on, I read. So I started doing the research that's how I came into the truth movement. I continued healing, and eventually I learned the law book about renting, and that's how I sued my it's social housing I lived in, and I sued them for neglect of the house, and eventually I got this house. So the only thing is that at that time, because these two entities were constantly leaning on me and keeping me there, stuck. And so the week that I wanted to move, I mean, everything that can go wrong went wrong. And so I came downstairs, I'm outside there, and there is this African man uh, I'd never seen before. And he starts talking to me, and I tell him what happens. I mean, that I'm about to move, but somehow I get constantly things are happening which make me unable to move. And so eventually the man says, let me come into your house. And so I said, sure. And turns out he's an African shaman. And so he comes in the house, and he said, grab your mattress, grab your cats, and get out of here as fast as you can. I'm going to help you keep these entities away from you, and so you can move. And so that's what I did. It turned out I had a sword, like, well, we in Indonesia, it's okay, this was a sword used, it was ancient, it was used in wars, and it was also, and he took it in his hands, and he did the strangest things. He went on the floor and did these weird things, and he said, oh my God, this is so possessed. And so I gave it to him so he could bury it in a ritualistic way, whatever. And so he said, just do what you have to do. And I came in this house, which was completely empty, with a mattress and my cats. And from that moment on, my whole life changed. I only then did I realize how bad it was, how I was literally a slave in my house, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Do you recognize that feeling?
Yes, a total prisoner.
But also that they keep you their prisoner.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's they it's almost like being a puppet and they're the puppet master.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my gosh, and you just want to cut those strings, but
And that
you know,
you then come in your new house, and that then only then do you realize how bad it is, because all of a sudden all this heavy energy is gone, and you feel like, well, if you have done this for 9 years, which I lived in that 9 years, I already was used to it, which is stupid, but you just don't know any better at that point. And so only when I came in this house did I realize that I was not even there. And then on top of that, I had these attachments to my body as well, these entities, parasites, demons. And so I had a healing from Eric Rains. He works a lot also on these events with Corey Good and all these people. And he did a healing on me, and that was just miraculous. And I there was a feeling that I've never felt in my life ever, like freedom, like space around me, because I always felt like I was pushed against the wall,
yeah.
and obviously that always comes back because you need to keep working on yourself, and I still do that. However, yeah, ever since I could concentrate on my health, I could concentrate on doing good things for myself. But in all those years, just like you, I was not able to have any power whatsoever to do something about it.
No, complete helplessness.
Yeah.
Just- That's what you feel like. You're drained of your energy and you're helpless and everything. Just even though you lie and tell people, "Oh, I'm okay," but you're not. You just feel hopeless. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't even have meds because I chose not to for the pain because of my kids, and we had discussed. I
Yeah, you
had,
had kids.
yeah, a couple of the cervical epidurals to block the pain, and then I said no more because of steroids. Just they're not good for you. But isn't that crazy though? Isn't that? It's just like
Well,
this is
well,
not real, but it was totally real.
it was, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I was like also at 40 then, because, well, I'm 51 now, so it's what, 11 years ago. So then they diagnosed me with ADHD, and I was like, what? And so then I started reading on it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not crazy. I always thought that I was crazy somehow. And well, I am different obviously than others, because since childhood, since I can't remember the first 7 years of my life. I just can't. it's like it's like my life only started at 7. It's even if I see pictures of me as a child, it's like I'm looking at a stranger. There's no memory whatsoever. Obviously, that's a whole different story, but I did healings for that too, although I don't get much answers about it. But obviously, I know more or less what did happen, which I lived in Belgium at the time. So, you know, Belgium is quite famous for there's these satanic crap, whatever. I cannot remember anything. I just got some flashbacks once in a while, but so I had to work on that too, and that's where the anxiety came from as well, I guess. And so I did lots and lots of healing therapies, and holistically, because the normal ones don't work. And so then I started going in the truth movement, and so that's when I learned so much. I started like 15 years ago. And then I met Corey Good, for example, in 2000. I think it was 2012. No, it was before 2012. I met him on a forum before he went public anyway. So so I read up on that, and then he became public, so I started following that. And then obviously we get Q. So what happened in December, I kept working on myself, and then all of a sudden I realized that those 9 years, the moment I moved, I completely wiped it out of my mind. However, I still had, apparently I had a heavy PTSD from what happened at that time, in 2005. And I didn't know that because I thought that's still from before that. But I really literally, like sort of, I just, you know, I just didn't think about it anymore. So in December, I start writing down what happened in that period. And that's when I broke down, because that's when I realized I just got a whole new PTSD that was gone before, after all the healing, only to get back a new type of PTSD that I had to work out. And so that's where I'm now. And so I started as a challenge, the YouTube channel, because obviously not having social context and all that, it was really scary. And now I'm like swamped in social contacts, although virtually, but and I see so many women in the Q movement, and it doesn't matter. And men, by the way, we all have some sort of trauma, whether it's a story like yours and mine, or whether it's, loss of loved ones, of children, of whatever there is. But I found everybody in this movement somehow, we do have these things in common with each other. And this is why obviously I contacted you. There are many others, they are also in the chat. I'm talking to, and it does give me a lot of hope and strength, but also a lot of courage to do things again. And so now I was going to ask you how you experienced that, and how your journey went from the moment that you moved to this house. Nice,
Well,
Doug.
this is a puppy. This is Baby.
What's the
This
name?
her
Oh,
name is Baby. My daughter, youngest daughter, named her. This is the puppy that got pushed. But bigger puppy now. I always call them puppies and kitties.
did they
But
change too? Because for me, my cats, I were unrecognizable after I moved. I needed to get to know my cats again, because they were completely different in the other house, where they were constantly protecting me. And so once they came here, I was like, those, I don't even know who they are. And so obviously they had to change. They changed too.
they do, and they feel it. I mean, this one, she's doing this probably because she wants something. But, I'm not going to yell across the house to have my son, do whatever. And, but I would say it was hard for her because I lost two of my dogs. And the day after the service, my ex-husband, she was 4 months old. They were going to abandon her in an apartment. So I've had this little thing here, since the day after, and she just took right to me. I think because of the injury and probably
Yeah.
emotion going on. So yeah, it affected them besides her getting pushed. But she lost the one dog that was left when she came. The first one, Tasha, she had passed away from Cushing's. And then this little one came, and I still have my big guy.
Hmm.
And so they became mates, you know. And the only thing I noticed, she's depressed. She still misses him, you know.
Mm.
We don't say his name, so
No
that's why
name.
guy. Yeah, you can't say his name. It's like she's forlorn and she's pining, she just looks so sad. Plus she lost her yard. She had this whole
Yeah.
big yard, and now I don't have that. We're all so close together and I'm just like, ugh. But anyway, yeah, the Q movement. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about panic attacks and anxiety? Oh my gosh.
Why? Did you get that from like waking up?
Yes, because see, I was so focused on, healing. I decided to stare myself down and I just was like, I literally looked at my whole self inside of me. And that was scary. But I was doing the growth and I was thinking, oh, I'm great. And then you start researching, right? And
But
you're
wait,
like,
did you started like in the truth movement through Q or already before that?
well, I always felt I never belonged as a kid in my family,
Yeah,
or I was different. And I was always that real shy, but passive, but sweet person that everybody loved and came
yeah.
to for help. But I definitely didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And we all say that we felt different, like something was wrong and off,
But
you know?
what I noticed, I was just watching what 1 foot and 5D yesterday, and she said that she was also had these scary, like these moments where she didn't have, know what to do with herself. And I read this everywhere. Well, for me, when the whole truth movement and everything, it was more like, oh, you see, I'm not crazy. I knew, I felt everything that is wrong in this world from since I was like, since I can remember that I'm alive. I knew everything was wrong in this world, and this is how I didn't fit in. But I see that many people get actually this shock, these panic attacks. I've seen it happen with my friend who I woke up. He went hyperventilating when I started feeding him stuff.
Oh,
Alara, yes.
I just, a couple years ago when I started watching the, like some channels, and then I think
Like
I,
the UFO movement, stuff like that.
well, yeah, kind of. Well, not even like more or less UFOs. That like when I got to that part, that's when I panicked. That's when I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way, because I had some, well, there was a experience when I was in middle school, and that scared me, but it scared my whole entire city, so I wasn't alone. Um, but no, that's like really scary stuff. And then, I gotta say, I was terrified. And it's different for everybody because everybody, um, I don't like labels because
Who
we've been
does?
labeled. We've always been labeled, you
Yeah.
know? So I was raised Catholic. I don't have a religion. I walk in faith
Mm.
of God and Jesus. Everybody has a religion or whom they believe in, but that's who I choose to have
Yeah.
my faith. And I'll tell you, the growth in my faith has been phenomenal. The
Was that through Q?
through, yeah, just really waking me up more.
Yeah.
And then when I started seeing things, you're angry and you're frustrated, and boy, you want to really beat the hell out of people because they're so evil.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that is a huge thing for me, I'm sorry, I keep on touching my nose, you guys. The cat was,
Usually I'm the one doing that all the time.
yeah. Well, I had one of the cats next to me. I was petting her. That's what I was doing. People are probably going, "What is she doing?" But that's what I was doing.
Actually, now you actually touch me also.
It
So
was beautiful. It's difficult growing pains. It's a must. And I try to explain to people because I know how to do gematria and all that. And now sometimes it's just simple. Things just pop out at me.
Yeah.
I don't even have to sit there and do gematria. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that is. And they're like, how did you do that? I've got a friend, her and I do that. And people are like, how do you do that? And there's other times I'm just like, well, wait, this could have like 7 different meanings.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused right now, but I think that's the beauty of all of this is watching us. We're growing together, even if we're not near each other.
Mm.
It's amazing. The whole world is like, well, okay, maybe not all of them, but most of us are just, oh, I just am amazed by the patriots here in America. And I'm amazed about them just worldwide. It's
Yeah.
such a beautiful, beautiful thing that I know has been brought to my life personally.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I think it's
Oh
just
yeah.
fantastic.
For me, I was there. Well, I was already researching a long time, and for me, everything was like, you see, and you see, even with the alien thing, because I had some therapies where I got in touch with my what you call them, well, your real galactic family. Now that was mind blowing. I was like, it was like coming home. It was insane. And it was like, you see, this is why I never felt home here. But however, then came, and I was not social at all, because for me, people were, they scared me, they're so unpredictable. And obviously with my experiences, I didn't trust people at all. So then the Q movement comes along. I was there with the first drop. I went into this, I was on the chance every day, like, you wake up, you go in, and you come out for sleep, and then you come back. And it was like, because we're in Europe, so we were, for Americans, the night shift. And then, that was, I did baking, I did everything until, and then you get the burnout. So I had that one too. So you need your break, as did Steven Dyson did, just had his break, because we all need these breaks once you realize how intensive it is, But really, the stuff I see, I love to see that we all kind of hermits, and we all have our own traumas and things which makes us stand out. We are all these type of loners, these people that never kind of fit in, hence why we woke up in the first place, I think. And and then you get to you get to hear people's stories. And that is, for me, that is actually what helped me in my healing. So we can talk about Q and decodes, and this is and why I made my channel, because there is so much more to it. Nobody is talking about how it helps us heal, how how we can come together, how it takes people out of isolation, how people find God again.
Oh, and the strength that you gain alone. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. I watch some of these people. I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I watch some of these people and I just am like in awe
Yeah.
of how amazing
Yeah.
they are and how intelligent they are. And the one thing that I'm very, very drawn to
Mm.
is easygoing people who are not in ego. I
Exactly. And the non-judgmental thing, well, in the beginning it was a bit different, because we all had to learn, as soon as somebody said, no, this is true, no, this is truth, and then people started throwing out, the baby with the bathwater. But slowly you learned, to accept each other's differences, each other's different opinions, but at the same, and each other's different ways of researching. And that everybody, like I always say, have a role to play. And I love how everybody finds their place within the Q movement. And I think that it heals us. it makes us so powerful and worldwide, you know.
That's the beautiful thing about it. I think, I always, I have some really close friends that, friendships I have developed,
Yeah.
from this, because, I am selective. But I'll tell you, when we talk, I have no problem saying God is choosing. He is doing a division. He is showing us who is good, who is bad, so us that are good can find one another, and he knows
Yeah.
exactly who needs to be saved, and he's building his army. We're his children, but we are his army, and it is biblical in every sense, and I think that's how, whether it's UFO experiences or spirits or demons or whatever, this interconnects us to it being biblical,
Yeah.
because nothing of this has to do with us, but has everything to do with us. For
Well,
him, we're everything about this, but for us, everything is about him, and it's just cool. It's so
what I
cool
also
that
see is, like, since we many of us have suffered somehow, and we're loners, and we're kind of out of the norm, and it's almost like now is our time to shine, to become the normal, we used to be the crazies, and now we are the new normal, and
Sorry.
those that pretend to be normal, those in societies with their 2 cars and jobs and bills and stuff, and all their materialistic ways of looking at things, and completely zombie, because they don't uh, see the truth. So what I love about it is that it's almost like everything turned around. We are now the norm. We are now the ones that make this world a better place, and at the same time, we have more compassion because we went through all our crazy stuff, whether it's depression, addiction, whatever trauma there is. And so, eh, you know, now it's our time to shine, because we were the light always. We
It,
just were suppressed.
oh, we were, and there is so much love now. I know that sometimes, researching and trying to figure things out, yeah, there's some scraps that go on, but really, I just have to say, most people are just, there is so much love. And I think when people realize we are, and I mean, I say we, as in the world, the citizens
Yeah.
of the world, we're all family anyway, even those evil ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're our family too, but what family doesn't have, well, issues in it? And we're just a dysfunctional family, like, we have to live in real. But the love is so amazing, and just,
Yeah.
I gotta say that, I mean, like, I am so happy. If you didn't reach out to me that
Yeah.
one time, I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys. I'm like, you know just, she is so amazing, you
Well,
know
because you had agoraphobia too, so we both found out that we had such a similar story, and I encountered this a lot, and it's so you know what the whole Q movement, outside of the fact, obviously, that everybody discovered the truth behind corruption and this and that, but it is a war between dark and light,
yeah,
and we are the light, and
we
it doesn't matter the differences, because even if I saw some people saying, oh, what where we go one, we go all. Oh, that's like what you call it, like globalism. No, it's not that. We are all fighting for our own sovereignty in our own countries,
Yeah.
and but we all accept each other, and we're all fighting the same fight for our own countries, and obviously, hence America first, because America is the one that needs first restored, since they are the leader of the world. And therefore, this is why foreigners are so willing to wake up Americans. And this is why foreigners are, supporting Trump, because if everything goes bad with America, it will go bad with the rest of the world,
Yes, true. It's true, but at the same time, it's just and you can take that. Remember, Q says there's multiple meanings,
Yeah.
because once we leave these bodies, this earth, truly where we go one, we go
We go
all.
all.
We will be in the kingdom together. I mean, look, okay, the story's already written. God's always already won. He's only winning more because more of us are becoming so strong in our faith. We're
Yeah.
becoming so connected. I mean, I'm so proud of, look at what's happened. Other countries standing up to their governments, protesting, and then
Yeah.
I got it was cool. My state, we went to the Capitol and we're like, we've had enough of this shite, and, then other states are following. And it's like, yes, because you know what? We understand it. And it's really cool. And we all have our own dialect, even though it's the same
Well, we
exact.
we still have the yellow vests, obviously, but literally we have the same exact problems like America has, the left, right, the whole what's it called, political correctness crap. And so, we have this. Well, Stephen knows this. In the UK, they have it. Oh, everywhere we do have this, and so. Eventually, we're all fighting the same battle. Unfortunately, we don't have Trump in Europe. So plus, don't forget, the whole deep state thing is like rampant in, especially when it comes to this child trafficking, the pedophilia. I mean, Holland and Belgium are notorious, and UK are notorious for that, So, but obviously for Americans, that is not very well known. But I was actually posting about that this week on Twitter, that so what General Flynn found through, well, there's this whole network and politicians that were these child uh, you know these pedophiles, and so they are, that, like, it's really really bad. General Flynn has the book, or the names of those very important people in Holland that um, are now in the hands of Trump. And so that for us is incredible, because, and that's all thanks to Flynn. So do you see how we like the circle is round? Well, for me, from Holland, but obviously this counts for everybody, all countries. It is all interconnected. Deep state is everywhere. If you don't, you cannot just repair an America and then expect they will stay out, because eventually it's a world war, literally, so. And that, I see many Americans forgetting this a lot, because it's like, my country, my country. Well, we are all fighting the same fights. Obviously, you guys have these tunnels all going on, although they are also worldwide. We have more in my country, it's more the networks. Holland is like a utopia for all these deep state people to get away with their shell companies and stuff like that. The Netherlands is very famous for all that. Actually, our royals, they set up the Bilderberg group. So There you go. And so, those people need to be fought too. And I do believe that with this Defender 2020 going on in Europe, which is these 30,000 American military troops being in Europe since February and staying here till at least August, stuff is really happening.
Yeah.
Like really happening worldwide. And yeah, I wish I knew more about that, and I follow mostly American stuff, but yeah, I wish we had some more info about that too, because after all, it is sometimes a bit discouraging when you know that we don't have Trump. But at the same time, I do have faith in the plan. I do have faith that everything will be okay in the end.
No, well, exactly. And we can't lose that faith and that hope. And there is times of discouragement, but that's where we
Sure.
lift one another up, no
Yeah.
matter where we are, where we're from. I mean, it's just, to me, it's a beautiful thing. It's probably the most beautiful thing I've experienced in my entire life, other than my children. Trust me, it's just amazing. And it's just like when I tell people, like when I pray,
Yeah.
it's not for me. I pray for the entire world.
Well, I'm not religious, but I do, because I see in the Q movement how many people started finding God. Well, I also believe in God, obviously, and just in a different way. I'm not per se religious, even though I was baptized, whatever, but I never did anything with that. But the concept and the attention is the same, and that is where the power lies. When we all accept and respect each other, then we can literally change the world just on a conscious level. And so I believe in that, absolutely. And when I see people on Twitter, when somebody is down, like Sean from Cordican, that had his accident, and
Yes.
everybody immediately boom steps in. I never was a person to ask for help, because I've done everything alone. I was literally years and years all by myself. And it was kind of new for me to accept people, and to even, let them accept me, and kind of wanting to be, well, listening to each other, and that was very special. And so for me, the Q movement is a healing journey too.
Oh, it is. Absolutely, it is. I think people have grown so much in themselves. I mean, it's like at an accelerated rate. And as things are being, like, I mean, there's so much coming out, and it has been for months.
Yeah.
It's like insanity, but it's like, for the most part, it's a good insanity,
Yeah.
because just like it's reality. And this is what we needed a dose of, really. We needed to be able to wake up, find out where this was all stemming from. I mean, there's things obviously we do not know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to figure them out. Why? Because we're us,
Yeah.
and I really wish people would understand, because I've had my points too. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, nothing's happening, no arrests are happening,
I never had
and I'm
that,
just like,
ever.
and well, I think I got that way because I think, it comes in with trust, but I think I got burnt out, and I was afraid that nothing was going to happen,
Mm.
that we're going to exist in this, you know, ever loving, world of hell. And I'm like, it's not hell.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I drawn, and you have to reel yourself in, but
Yeah.
glad you didn't feel.
What I always say to people that lose also their hope, like, really, what alternative do we have?
Oh, we
None.
don't want the other one.
Exactly. So you might as well have trust in it, because that will change, like, the world consciousness as well. And you know what happens when people pray and meditate, like even the environment changes. And so, you know, of course, everybody has their doubts and all that, but you know, what can you do? There is no other option, really. There isn't.
What do you want? What do you want? Things the way they are? Do you? You can't go back to sleep. You
Oh,
can't. Sorry.
that no, but not only that. I mean, if Trump is not reelected, we have a huge problem.
Oh my God. We do. I mean,
Exactly.
actually, it's very terrifying to think about. And the crap they're pulling, all these stops they're pulling out at us, you know, and we all knew it was about the election.
Sure.
And I mean, it's a way to cheat. They're good at it. That's
But losing the next election is not an option. It's
no.
just not. And we all see that. Even if I'm in Holland, he's not my president, but I do see the importance of it, because you know, it's without that we are lost. We lost. But and that's why I do trust the plan blindly. Why? Because I also did like months and months of intense research, and that's when you do see change happen. And they're small, but now we start to, you know, the past week we start to see these things coming out from Flynn, from, you know, all sorts of things. But it's a slow process. But what do you want? How many years, decades, what century has been, this has been going on, you know?
It's going to take, I believe personally, and I could be wrong, but this has been going on for so many thousands of years. It's going to,
Roman Empire
yeah, it's going to
and
take decades
yeah.
possibly, but we need to have these wins. People, even
Think
liberals and Dems are, you know, kind of going, ooh, the voters, they're like, ooh, and they're flipping over to Trump. Have you been watching his numbers?
Yes, I can see that too. But imagine this, if for somebody that loses hope, if you think about what has been accomplished in these past 2.5 years, that that is really impressive. So, you know, if somebody says, oh, I'm losing hope, I mean, what president or leader anywhere in the world has accomplished so much change, like on a world level, even to, you know, never mind, because the fact that people are so triggered and the media is triggered, that in itself is progress. Because, you know, it means that we are in a war, and it means that there is, you know, you can't break an egg, you can't make an omelet without breaking an egg.
Right. And he did say, they're not after me, they're after you.
Exactly.
And he knows it. And just, I mean, even besides the fact that I think this is the only ruler, even though he's a president, he
Yeah.
is a ruler in a form, you know, come on, let's be honest, in history that has made such an impact. But you know what's awesome too? Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, and I don't think that I am, but I have watched that man grow
Yes.
as a person. Like, I'm like, wait, what did he just say? He just said Jesus Christ. You know, he wasn't saying that the first year, you
No.
know, year and a half in. I'm like, wow. But we understand with gematria and everything, he's a treat. And
Yeah,
we're doing everything right.
we
He's doing
do.
right. They
I
are
mean,
terrified of us, terrified. And I've thought about this. There's 1% them, 99% us, right?
yeah.
Well, that's pretty good ratios to me, because there's 99% of us to slam dunk 1% of them.
Well, but that's the whole point. So that's why I am trusting the plan, because look at what happened. People are really waking up now, and especially with this Kung flu, you see people they look at the news, they start seeing that things are not what they supposed to be. I see in America people like with this Biden. I mean, he's suffering dementia, and people, I mean, we know that the left is quite stupid, but they're not that stupid. So
Exactly.
it's quite an insult if you have a man talking like that. I mean, and then they say, well, you know, like these celebrities that said, we choose anybody uh, as long as it's opposed to Trump. But the normal common people, they are starting to actually see that, you know, he is actually accomplishing stuff. Then put your hate aside, because, you know, it's about your life, for heaven's sake, you know.
Well, it is the only, I think, well, that's funny that you touched on that, because I tell people, I'm like, if you look at all the people that are against him that are entertainers,
Yeah,
old, washed up, and their careers are gone. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. They all have washed up careers. They're done,
yeah.
you know. And so they try to pull people in like, you know, Spanksy Hanksy, you know, and it's not going to work. And I'm just like, yeah, no, you're like, I mean, I'm not putting anybody down, so anybody forgive me about people going to Las Vegas, but come on, the heyday for shares over.
Well,
Heyday.
what's in Las Vegas?
Well, Las Vegas, well, when your career's kind of at an end, you go to Las Vegas,
Do
you know,
what?
perform, to perform in the casinos.
Oh, you mean like the celebrities? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, true. Because we even have celebrities that go there. And here, same thing, same thing. It's amazing how that works. And, you know, so we do see this happen on a global level, you know,
Yeah.
and that is so great to see, because whatever happens, and this has always been like that, yeah. So whatever happens in America, it always comes here 2 years later. So I already know what's going to happen, you know, in 2 years. We have that same fight, although it does go in sync now because of internet, obviously. But the news, same hate for Trump here. Just this afternoon, I was talking with my neighbor. She said, yeah, but what do you think about the way he speaks and the things that he says? I said, well, you know, the way they cut all these snippets out, but do you ever hear on the news all the positive things he does? No, because, you know, that's the whole purpose, is to hate him, just like the Putin hate, you know, Russia, Russia, Russia. So yeah, that's a worldwide phenomenon. You know, we know all. I just see JFK was the start. It's true. We all grew up with JFK, even if, you know, he's the other only president that is very, very famous worldwide. And obviously everybody knows what he did and how he lost his life. And well, you know, we can just say that Trump is finishing the job.
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, you know, if you follow everything, you know, those pieces that fit together and what he's trying to accomplish. And, you know, that's the sad thing that, you know, besides the children thing, because oh my God, that just gets me. Um, it's hard to deal with sometimes, the
Mm.
things you see, but it's that the race thing, they never talk about how JFK and Martin Luther King Jr., you know, they don't talk about friendships and stuff like, I don't, well, I'm supposed to hate people because, you know,
Well,
Trump does. No, it's the other way around. It's projection.
yeah. Did you know that JFK was treated exactly the same as Trump, although at the time they didn't have internet and all that, but same thing, exactly the same, you know,
And
uh, attacks.
he was going to expose them, every single one of them, and he paid the ultimate price.
But
And
yet, he was loved by the people, and that's because they looked through all the lies as well, because they did have their newspapers that said, you know, we need to impeach JFK, we you know, he's the bad guy and all that. But you know, the world stood still when he was killed, you know, also here. And so we know what this means, especially those awake. Obviously we even know it better.
This is about all of humanity at this point. And
Mm.
he is making his rounds, talking to these leaders, whether he's saying, hey, look, I can help you out, or hey, look, you better watch it
Yeah,
because I know I'm like on you. I know the things you're doing and you've done.
yeah,
He's kind of doing what he has to do, and that is a good thing for us. But
yeah,
it disturbs me that all these former people in administrations are just backtailing him and
yeah.
going having their little meetings with the world leaders. And I'm like, you know what? You're not even in a government anymore. And I
Well,
feel strongly about this. Okay.
well, that will come out anyway, because you know, we know by now they have a plan, and I do trust that plan,
Did,
you know.
did you see Kim troll CNN with his little phone? They wrote the fake thing that he was dead and he showed the tweet.
Oh,
Oh,
no, I haven't seen that, but I did see that. Yeah, the Trump was trolling, obviously, because then he posted these pictures of Kim Jong Un, and he said like, "Oh, he's completely fine," you know. So, and that's another way of exposing the media. You know,
yeah.
because even in my country, it was trending every day. Kim Jong Un is dead. Kim Jong Un is dead, and so, and I was like, you know, and he let it happen because it is all to expose them, you know.
And
I
it's a must. Yes, we must know who's doing what. And I'm sorry about people's TDS. I'm sorry about their, you know, having meltdowns why they are over logical things that doesn't even take brainiac work. I don't know what to say, but
I
and then
do believe that coincides with the whole ascension thing, because people either wake up or they don't, and the whole 3D 5D story, it is completely in sync with that, because I do think eventually those people won't yeah, what they say, the event is going to happen where, you know, those people that are evolved to 5D, they will move on, and at a certain point it will split the earth, where the one part is going to stay in that 3D way and the others go to 5D. How that's going to be happening, we don't, well, I don't know, but I do believe that, because you see such big polarities right now. It's like, um, I read it this week in a book, and it was about, uh, well, the book that I shared also in my video about the Busegi Mountains in Romania. And so in there they say it's literally a segregation of the people that's going on. So, you
yeah,
know, we cannot expect some people to wake up, and unfortunately it is what it is, you know.
we
uh,
have control over it.
it's all about evolving as well as humans.
Well, exactly, and it's about time we do. It's about time we stop being stuck in the past
Yeah,
and we become more like we were meant to be. I,
exactly.
my defining moment is when I sat and listened to somebody, and that's kind of like your oh crap moment for some people.
Hmm.
When they realize, like, if you, and like I said, I respect, everybody's, beliefs, and I just ask that they respect me if my beliefs are different. But when I heard, because I could never understand as a kid, I'm like, what are you talking about? God knows everything. He can hear all, see all, he's everywhere. I thought that was like, I'm like, I never understood that as a kid growing up. But then when I realized he is in every single one of us, I was like, and then you get your grief stages.
Yeah.
Why doesn't anybody talk about, and I think this is something good that we should talk about is the stages, because it is grief that we go through when we wake up, our people wake up.
Well, yeah, I see this a lot. And yeah, I see lots of people having, these stages of depression, what you have with the when you lose somebody, the anger, the grief, etc.
Yeah.
I didn't have that at all. For me, it was all like phew, you see, I'm not crazy. And it was like, this is what I always have felt. I just didn't know exactly the details. But for me, it was like, finally, I'm not alone in this anymore. And yes, I've seen obviously people in shock and having panic attacks and hyperventilating when finding out the truth. But it's just very important to get through that to begin with, because and once you're awake, you never go back.
No, you can't. You can't, as much as anybody, because you sometimes see people saying, I don't want to be awake anymore. It's like, sweetie pie, I hate to tell you, but you're
Yeah,
going to stay awake. You can't go back to sleep. You can choose to, but it's just not going to happen. And,
exactly.
and would you really, I ask people, would you really want to? I don't. I want to progress. I want to be everything that I can be,
Well,
you
yeah,
know.
because we need to keep working on ourselves in the progress. We can be researching, etc. But if we do not work on ourselves, I mean, what's the point? Because eventually we need to evolve with that, with whatever change is coming, so we've been online now for live for 2 hours. And do we still have some people that are in there, or is it all my moderators? 'Cause
Did they fall asleep?
no, we didn't have many watches, and it's probably has everything to do with what I did there, the mistake that I made. Anyway, you guys, did you enjoy it? I don't see any answers yet, but I guess they do. And we can always have another talk again. And let's wrap this up, and let's just move on. And next time we're going to have some new topics, maybe about healing, and all the things that you encounter or whatever. We can always yeah, it was great to hear your story. Also, for people that want to see her videos about huntings and all that, if you like to watch that, well, it's not like pleasant. um
No.
but it's Love by the Moon is the YouTube channel, so that's where you can find it,
Yes, absolutely. Not
right?
hard to find. Yep. And it's all one word. And you'll see my face.
Oh,
Maybe not.
let me share your Twitter. What's that again? At um
Yeah.
Kathleen.
Yeah. Husband 3.
Oh, wait, hang on. At Kathleen
Osmond. Yep.
Osmond, right?
OSMONT 3. The number 3.
Yeah, you should write it actually, but here you go. Is that correct? How I
I
wrote?
can see the thing right now.
Oh, you can't see it. Okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope more people will be watching later, because not everybody can be here live. Um, Thank you so much, Katie, for being here and sharing your story. And you guys, love you all. And we'll see each other around on Twitter again and in the chats of the live shows. And I'm going to wrap this up here
All
and be
right.
on Twitter. You can hang on still for a moment. Let me just get rid of that bunch there. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you for listening.
Bye. Okay, let me see how I can do that.